What's going on, everyone? Today's video is packed with insights from the exclusive Ripple and Uphold event, which took place in Las Vegas this week around the Money20 conference. I'll break down what was shared with me, so let's roll the intro and dive on in.
I think it's time that we start voting for who's the best candidate. And I'm here sitting as a Republican telling you that in some races, the best candidate may very well be a Democrat. And there are some cases, like this one, where I believe the Republican, me, is a better candidate than the Democrat. The division in this country is killing us.
The IMF plays a very important role. We are trying to ensure that there is innovation in the sector, but at the same time, that you also keep financial stability. Specifically, what have we done? Over the last 12 months, we have had 9 regional trading workshops that deal with issues on fintech regulation. This is about e-money issuers. How do you regulate them? How do you supervise them?
The USDC has settled over $12 trillion in value.
But also looking into things like their data infrastructure, whether it's secure from cyber attacks.
It doesn't help that you had Sam Bankman-Fried showing up on Capitol Hill with cargo shorts and selling something that turned out not to be exactly what was represented. When I show up here, part of it is evangelist, advocate, diplomat, ambassador. I spend a significant amount of my time talking to central banks and regulators around the world, whether we're talking about Japan or the UK or Singapore or the UAE or Switzerland, even Brazil. The US is a laggard, and for reasons that don't really make sense.
What's going on, everyone? Hope you're all having a great day. You know, what really doesn't make sense is the fact that the crypto market, Bitcoin, is at 72,000. Crypto market is at $2.4 trillion. Bitcoin is at 72,000, while XRP is still hovering at 52 cents. I don't get it. Doesn't make sense. But we know deep down, or many of us know, that it won't be here for 52 cents much longer. So keep your head on a swivel, ladies and gentlemen. This week, I was at a Money20 conference, which is hosted in Las Vegas. This is where the fintech industry converges and gets together to talk about all things fintech. And let me bring onto the screen here so you can better understand the companies that are present at the conference. Here we go. Boom. So as you see that the attendees include technology companies, lending and credit, VCs, retailers, fraud and identity, banks, blockchain and crypto companies, the payment providers, advisory and insight, and of course the regulators. So this is everybody in the know, everybody that's moving the industry forward and in a compliant fashion. I was excited to hear in the discussions AI, AML, banking, identity, payments, regulation, Web3, and a whole lot more. Fun fact I learned is that 9 out of 10 people are already using fintech applications. So I believe the new era of finance is already among us. There's no question about that. And I personally drove over to Las Vegas specifically to attend the Ripple and Uphold exclusive event at the Lavo restaurant. It's an Italian restaurant in the Venetian. It's right across the street, or the Venetian is right across the street from the Trump Tower. So I had to take a photo of this pic because the last time I was in Las Vegas was for the XRP Las Vegas 2024 conference. My mom and I went, and she had to have a picture in front of the Trump Tower. So this pic is for my mom. Love you mucho, Mom. And so anyways, good times out in Vegas. But since I had gotten to the event relatively early, I had the opportunity to brush elbows with a gentleman from Plaid, or Plaid, tomato. This gentleman's name was Ben Kelbaugh. He was a Plaid sales rep responsible for managing banking relationships. I told Ben how I'm a huge fan of Plaid and just how they've made it so easy to sign into your bank account while using a third-party application. I mean, that's revolutionary. I shared how I was really excited when Link2, my former employer, had partnered with Plaid. And for me, that was a very big deal. The integration between Plaid and Link2, First off, Link2 customers not only had the ability to seamlessly fund their cash accounts with crypto using an Uphold wallet, but now they could seamlessly fund their cash account using their bank account, the Plaid integration. So for me, it was almost like Link2 sat between the traditional capital markets and the new and emerging DeFi rails. Of course, Link2 is not in no way has any exposure to crypto, but because of the relationships, it did empower crypto holders that were using the Uphold application. I just think Link2 is doing some very interesting things, and to be able to brush elbows with the gentleman from Plaid and tell him about all the excitement that I was aware of, he was really appreciative, because I mean, he's just one individual. Plaid's got has thousands of employees. They're huge, and it's hard to know what everyone's doing. So he was excited to hear about some new relationships between Plaid and Link2, and it got him excited as well. So since I shared some insights with Ben, he then shared some insights with me, because I said, hey, what do you have to share with me, so that I can relay to my global community of like-minded professionals and investors. And he goes, well, not a lot of people are talking about this. I mean, you're hearing about it in the conference, but right now there's a big movement. The CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, just is announced or implemented the 1033 rule. It's been finalized this month and implements personal financial data rights under the Dodd-Frank Act. I mean, the Dodd-Frank Act is what essentially the CFPB was launched through, or formalized through the Dodd-Frank Act. So this really just sounds like an overall amendment to the Dodd-Frank Act, which it is. It mandates that financial institutions like banks, credit card companies, and digital payment providers such as Apple Pay and Venmo must allow consumers to securely access their own financial data or share it with third parties at no cost. And this enables consumers to more easily switch banks, compare rates, and find better financial products, fueling competition across the banking and fintech sectors. This rule also introduces strong privacy and security protections. Data accessed under consumer authorization can only be used for specific purposes agreed upon by the consumer, prohibiting third parties from using it for unrelated services like targeted advertising. The rule moves to I believe this rule moves the world towards secure APIs, which provide more controlled data access for those who may want it. So you got to think about it. Larger institutions have until April of 2026 to comply, while smaller entities have extended timelines, reflecting the rule's broad impact across traditional banks, fintechs, and data aggregators. So just you got to keep in mind. So, well, 1033 says these institutions have till 2026. For those who've been in the landscape for quite some time, I mean, we're all familiar of the ISO 20022 payment repository or standard that even Ripple helped formulate with those that are participating in the standardization of protocols and the movement of data between financial institutions. Let me bring up onto the screen here the ISO website, but because I already believe that we've seen the pick of winners, or winners being picked, and we're essentially, as this 1033 rule explains, that the standardization of those protocols, and some of these protocols or these players have been picked for quite some time. What I have on screen here is the list of management group members participating in the ISO 20022, and you have the Bank of England, the BIS, that's the Central Bank of Central Banks. You have the DTCC, financial institutions across all geographies, MasterCard, Visa, and you have RippleNet. And I really believe, since Ripple was there, Swift, since Ripple has been around since the inception of the ISO 20022, I believe it's safe to say that they're at the ground floor. Their protocols, their software solutions are the standard. They have created a base or layer one for other players to build upon. And it's really exciting for the industry and for the market, and of course for Ripple shareholders. Full transparency, I'm a Ripple shareholder thanks to Link2, technology-enabled investment platform, my former employer. They are democratizing access, allowing us little guys to invest and park our pennies next to the institutions or the large high net worth investors that are moving significant capital and deploying it in technology enabled companies like Ripple Labs or even Uphold. But anyways, enough about the ISO 2022. I want to talk about who was in the room at Lavo. As soon as I got to the restaurant, out on the patio, I saw Jack McDonald, the VP of Ripple Stablecoin Division, formerly at PolySign. But I didn't get a chance to brush elbows with Jack this time, but I did get a chance to brush elbows with the representatives from PayPal, BitPay, Universal Ledger, Alipay, and many more. But I was really excited to brush elbows with basically the whole executive team or C-suite team of Uphold. I got FaceTime with Simon McLaughlin. Let me see if I can bring up a picture of him here. Present, share. Simon, where are you? Boom. There he is. Such a handsome man, and he's always well dressed, and he's also got always wearing a backpack like me. So I know he's on the go, making deals on the road. He's a great man, and he was very kind to share some quality time with me. I was also able to brush elbows with Robin O'Connell, Uphold's CEO of their enterprise division. He is a wonderful man. I've got nothing but love and respect for Robin. He always shares just great insights and great conversation. I actually had the opportunity to brush elbows with Robin in Portugal at a Link2 hosted global investor conference. So this wasn't my first time chatting Robin up. It's always good to reconnect with him, because I've also spent time with him in Dallas at an XDC conference that I emceed at, and then also at the XRP Las Vegas conference that I also emceed in passing. So Robin is a great man. I'm going to come back to him in just a second. Another individual that I really, really enjoyed meeting was Sem. Sem is the CEO of Uphold, Uphold's consumer division. And again, his name is Sem Mirele. Sem is he informed me that Uphold anticipates to bring back the debit card for U.S. customers in Q1 of 2025. He was actually showing me how the debit card is already available for him being a citizen of the UK. He also mentioned that public equities or public stocks like Tesla, Apple, etc., will also be available to Uphold's U.S. customer base very soon. Right now, public equities are currently available in other jurisdictions around the world, similar to the Uphold MasterCard. So we're just not here yet in the United States, and that's due to regulations. But that's the thing. Uphold has essentially been piloting specific and targeted programs in various geographies from around the world. So Uphold launched in 2015, so they've been around for quite some time. So as soon as regulations are in place, Uphold will be able to turn on all services for all clients, and the platform will be lit up like a Christmas tree, generating nice returns for us Uphold investors. So full transparency, I am an investor in Uphold, again, as mentioned, because of Link2. And when regulations are passed, well, we're gonna see so much growth, and it's gonna be so fast. It's not gonna be like anything we've seen before. I did happen to ask Sem. Let me bring it back on the screen here. I said, Sem, hey, before I let you go, sir, will Uphold ever make private equities available on the platform? And he looked at me and he said, well, absolutely. We would offer the stocks for privately held companies, just like we offer them for the public equities and the cryptos and the metals. So I think, understanding that Uphold is not an exchange themselves, but more of an interface that plugs into underlying venues and exchanges, being able to scan the marketplace for competitive rates on behalf of their customers. He thinks that private equities will just be another one of their offerings on their platform. So I honestly can't wait, because what I think is going to happen potentially, it's only a matter of time that it's Link2 who's tokenizing the equities on their platform, and through APIs, it could be made very possible to see those tokenized equities available on Uphold's platform. Thanks to Link2, who is, of course, the broker dealer. We're moving into an era where everything is underpinned by APIs, by protocols, institutional grade software solutions are allowing a real-time settlement, I believe very soon as mentioned, regulations are approved. So while various bills are drafted and under discussion, including the Clarity for Payments Stablecoins Act of 2024, I believe legislative progress has been slow due to political factors. And the Financial Stability Oversight Council, FSOC, could potentially act to oversee stablecoin risk at the federal level if comprehensive legislation is delayed any further. So hopefully someone does their job sooner rather than later. And all I can do right now is just cross my fingers and toes. Back to Robin. Let me bring him up on stage here again so I can put face to name. Robin O'Connell, the CEO of Uphold Enterprise. You know, when I crossed paths with him, he was actually in a discussion with the team at WorldPay. And I didn't mean to interrupt his conversation. I just meant to shake hands with him, say hello, and order a tasty beverage from the bar since he was standing right next to it. He didn't seem to mind. He mentioned that Uphold and WorldPay actually have a follow-up meeting the very next day. And he confirmed that there's great potential for synergies between Uphold and WorldPay. And there's a reason to believe that WorldPay is already, well, I'm near certain there's already reasons to believe that WorldPay is already linked to Ripple via relationships and potential patents floating out there. I believe Robin mentioned that Uphold could add WorldPay as a venue for their smart routing capabilities and provide competitive liquidity for Uphold's customers. You know, WorldPay would receive a small fee, and Uphold and its customers would benefit from the competitive liquidity. Now, it was relatively loud on the patio because there was loud music, a lot of people chatting from, as mentioned, very prestigious companies, and then also it was really windy. So I'm near certain he said those things, and it only makes sense. But I'm just more excited about the potential relationship between Uphold and WorldPay, because me being an Uphold investor, that got me excited. And if for anyone that's tuning in today that might be interested in investing into a company like Uphold, go check out Link2, my former employer. I'll copy a link to a $500 credit, or link $2 that you can apply towards your first investment. That'll be in the description of this video. Back to my story here. For those of you who may not really know who WorldPay is, let me bring them up onto the screen here. WorldPay is a financial technology company. They're specializing in payment processing, in banking software, and financial services. The company processes nearly 150 million transactions daily. They've been around since 1968, and they have over 8,000 employees. So this isn't a fly-by-night company. This isn't a new startup. This is an old traditional financial institution, a heavy hitter. Also, the WorldPay is owned by Fidelity National Information Services. The major holders of FIS include Vanguard and BlackRock, who have also been leaning into the space with the recent launch of the ETFs and such. But that was on the Bitcoin side of the house. It's great to hear that they also have relationships that are partners with Ripple Labs and the other side of the house. So it's pretty soon we're going to see all parties and networks come together. We all know that we're moving into a multi-chain universe. Not one chain's going to rule them all. If Uphold and WorldPay were to engage in a partnership, this would only open up additional venues and resources to Uphold and its user base, like I already mentioned. And again, this just highlights the fact that traditional players like WorldPay are entering the space, and this space is only going to mature. Another monkey paw linking some of the largest traditional players with the new and emerging DeFi rails. On another note, I had the chance to interview Sada Bajaj, the chief product officer of Ocelar. This is a startup specializing in the AI-driven risk decisioning solutions tailored for financial institutions. I mean, that's why they were at Ripple's event. I actually caught Sada pitching Ocelar to Uphold's CEO of their consumer division, and that to Sem. So it was great to see those guys trying to do business and get their products in front of a trusted player like Uphold. And I believe actually Ocelar is one of their investors or their backers is Greg Kidd. So that Uphold, one of their backers is also Greg Kidd. So I think there's actually great potential to see those companies could work together in order for Ocelar to provide their AI risk solutions to Uphold. It's only a matter of time if Greg Kidd's an investor. But speaking of Greg Kidd, he also showed up at the Ripple Uphold event, and it makes sense since he has a home in the area and why he's running as an independent candidate for the U.S. House of Representatives, representing Nevada's second congressional district in the 2024 election. Greg is a well-known venture capitalist. He's the founder of Hard Yaka, and his campaign is focused on enhancing Nevada's industries, including mining, hospitality, and technology. There's a big lithium mine to be mined, and I believe Greg he's got his thumb on the pulse there, let's just say. But anyways, special thanks to John and Kirk at Hard Yaka. It was very kind of them to let me know that Greg had arrived to Ripple's dinner. This allowed me to talk to Greg for about 15 minutes. And again, a little bit about Greg, since I actually had the pleasure of meeting Greg in 2022 at the same Global Investor Conference as Robin O'Connell. And for the record, that again, the Global Investor Conference was a conference hosted by my former employer, Link2. And for those of you who may not know who Greg is, yes, he is a venture capitalist. Yes, he's an early investor in Facebook, Twitter, Coinbase, Ripple, Robinhood, Link2, and many other prominent, disruptive, technology-enabled companies. Greg does not miss. I believe in, I said this to Kirk and John. I think he's like the Wizard of Oz, and they said we do too. It's great to know that people share the same thoughts as I do about Greg and hold him on to a high degree of respect. Greg was kind enough to share with me, obviously his time. I asked him if he still has a position in an XRP, since I'm familiar of how he was also a very early employee of Ripple Labs. And instead of receiving any compensation, Greg asked to receive an option for 1 billion of XRP. Greg told me that XRP has had his day and now he's focused on Solana. I was caught off guard, but I think I caught him off guard with the question. My gut is telling me I think he's maybe talking his book. Regardless, we shifted gears to talk about mountain biking immediately after, since I'm familiar that he has a passion for being on two wheels. He was showing me his ride from earlier that day, riding out by Red Rocks, which I thought was cool. He might be a billionaire, but he's still a dude that likes to do everyday things with normal people like you and I. So I'm a big fan of Greg. One thing that Greg did share with me before we parted ways, since I did ask him how his campaign was doing, he mentioned how his campaign unfortunately isn't doing too well. He doesn't expect to win. And then he also went beyond and said, he also doesn't believe that John Deaton is going to win or become the next senator of Massachusetts, dethroning Elizabeth Warren. And I said, what? How can you say that? John Deaton is the man. He's the white knight of the XRP community. He's got not just the digital asset community behind him, but he's a veteran. He is a respected attorney. He is a respected regular on Fox. I mean, how can John not win? He's out there rallying and campaigning every day, day in, day out, rain or shine. And he just gave me that shrug. And so I don't know if anyone is listening to this that is passionate about John Deaton or doesn't know about John Deaton. I'm putting up onto the screen here John Deaton's website, johndeatonforsenate.com. Please, if you're listening, I strongly urge everyone to go to this website, donate whatever you can to afford to this man's campaign, because we need to fight for John like he's fought for us and for our country. We need him to beat the incumbent Senator Elizabeth Warren so we can have a bright future. Our freedoms are on the line here, especially our financial freedoms. For those who might be interested in investing in this alternative investment space, call it crypto or digital assets. This could be on the chopping block because of Elizabeth Warren. So again, John Deaton has every opportunity to win. He just needs a little bit more money to support for advertising dollars, to make sure his voice is heard, to get his mission statement out there. And being the fact that John submitted an amicus brief in the biggest case of our lifetimes, the SEC versus Ripple case, and being a voice to 75,000 XRP investors, he's a bulldog and we need to support him. We need to get him across the finish line. If you have that Greg Kidd money, billions, please be sure to help John Deaton fight for what's right in Washington. I mean, what are we waiting for here? It's time to drain the swamp. It's time to make America great again. It just doesn't make sense why we're lagging here and we're not coming together. We see the Trump rallies, we see everyone coming together. The writing's on the wall. It just makes sense for us to come together and fight for John too. Anyways, I appreciate you all stopping by and sharing your time with me. I'll be back with some more red hot juicy news and updates from out in the field, because I love what I'm doing. I love the hustle. I love the grind. I love dragging that juicy content back to the cave for you guys. So thanks for tuning in. Yours truly, Ray Fuentes. Love you mucho.